So today on Simply Happy Conversation, I have with me Amanda Ewin. Amanda is a lifestyle coach and she's helping high performing women to turn their life from meh to bouncing out of bed every day. So welcome, Amanda.
Hi, and thank you so much for having me. I've got goosebumps already.
Oh, it's so lovely to have you and for you to be sharing some of your tips today.
Yeah, I can't wait.
So maybe share with us some of the things that you like to do in your free time, because you have an amazing array of things that you love to do and you share on social media, and you live in one of the most beautiful parts of Australia as well.
I know, I'm so lucky. I feel blessed every single day. And it's the first time in my life I've lived somewhere where I don't want to be anywhere else. So, I was always kind of seeking, where will I live next? And now, whether it's now that I've got to more of an inner place of calm and I found Fremantle at the same time in Western Australia, I'm not sure. But I could never get bored, Narelle. Like, I always roll my eyes, probably. I try not to roll my eyes at people, but when people say they're bored, I'm like, how can you get bored? There's so many amazing things to do. Things I love to do in my spare time, particularly in winter, is relative to water. So I love to swim in the ocean, and that's in my spare time, or I make time for it. I love jumping in puddles. I love dancing in the rain. I love being in the rain. I love sitting in the sunshine and just absorbing it and looking at nature. Being around nature, I think, would be one of my favorite things to do. And I've just discovered fiction novels again. So I went through so many non-fiction books because that's my business and my research. And now I've discovered fiction. It's like, oh, I need more time to read.
Oh, that's amazing. Have you got a favorite book that you've read at the moment?
I think the first one that got me back into fiction was Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And that I read when I was coming out of COVID, and I had fairly long COVID. So it was about a month, and it was great because the theme was loneliness, and I was empty nesting for the first time. And so it was really helpful. It was really good. I cried, and it was
it's such a beautiful
really
book, isn't it? Yeah,
definitely.
What I just finished, what is it? Rosie something and the Six. It's like a band that was in the 70s, 60s, and it was an amazing book. I really enjoyed. It's written by one of the band members' daughters. Yeah, so it's a great book to check out, something you might enjoy.
Yeah, nice.
So tell us about your business, and because you've had a business for a long time now.
I have, but not in the capacity that it's in now. So it was always a kind of pretend thing. Well, I was trying to make it serious.
Never pretend.
Well, I was pretending the fact that there weren't many people paying me for what I did, because I wasn't really sure I knew in my soul what I did. And now I've become much more serious about it. And I am a lifestyle coach, as you said, and I help high achievers to bounce out of bed in the morning so they feel less meh, because there's so many of us that we're just racing all the time from A to B to Z, and we just are on repeat all the time, whether we've got kids or they've left home or doing a job we don't like. We're kind of always waiting until we've got a better house or a better job, or the kids have left home, or we've retired. And my whole gig is about feeling joy now, and pretty much what you teach as well, just helping people get out of their own way and live the life that they know is possible for them. And that's what I'm doing as a full-time gig now, having left a 32-year career as a podiatrist about 6 weeks ago.
And how did that feel? If you don't mind
sharing. Scary and also amazing. That inner knowing where you just know that it's time. And I'd been saying it for a decade. Probably when we met, 6 years ago. Well, I've got to give up podiatry. And then you just hang on because of all of the conditioning and the societal. Well, I was too scared to tell my dad.
And the identity, I'm sure there was attached to it. Yeah.
Exactly. And everyone's saying, you're good at it. Why would you leave? And, it's easier than saying you're a lifestyle coach. People are like, oh, that's really cool. And then lifestyle coach, they're like, oh.
Oh, no, it's an amazing thing to be a lifestyle coach and be helping people change their lives. And it's so powerful and exactly what so many people need out there. Someone just to hold their hand and make those changes like you did.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I had my own life coach that was transformative for me. And so I just want to do this. And I know that that's my purpose on this planet now, is to help people with that.
Yeah.
So,
and from listening to your podcast, Bounce Out of Bed, it's amazing hearing your own journey and your stories and the things that you've done over the years, as well as the beautiful guests that you've attracted too, which are great to hear some of their stories as well.
Yeah, always asking. My first question when I have a guest, and it's not always about bouncing out of bed in the morning, but it's about how to live a better life so you can bounce out of bed in the morning. And I always ask their morning rituals and routines. And it's really interesting because they're all very different, although they all have a similar theme.
Yes, definitely. So then maybe tell us what you do to bounce out of bed.
So clearly, because I teach it, it's something that I really needed to learn, Narelle. And I spent decades of my life hitting the snooze button and dragging myself out of bed. I think naturally I'm probably more of a night person. And I also love and adore the mornings. I love that quiet space, whether it's dark or the sun's risen. In summer, I don't get up before sunrise. I love seeing the change between night and day. And I love the stillness and peace that brings. And I also love that there's not many other people around. So that's like the best thing. And like I said, I never used to bounce out of bed. So I was always wondering what I could do better and differently and how could I change. And when I discovered having my own morning ritual, that was when things really shifted for me. And so I would say now it still ebbs and flows with the seasons. I definitely don't have exactly the same routine every day. I swim a couple of mornings a week with other people. There's 2 or 3 men that I swim with, and we meet at the beach, usually around sunrise, depending on the season. And that's obviously a different morning to the mornings that I don't meet them because I have to put different things in place. But the first thing I do is set my alarm the night before. So I have a nighttime ritual for the morning so that I can have a much easier morning. If I'm going to meet people at the beach, I will get everything ready the night before and then set my alarm usually within half an hour to an hour of the same time every morning, because that's really important to me. And then I wake up when the alarm goes off and I will observe my thoughts. And they're usually, oh my goodness, I'm tired. I had a really hard night. Oh, those dreams were like nightmares. And I'm busting and I've been busting for 2 hours. And then I go, oh, wow, that's really curious. It's that lovely negative thought that's kicked in again. And it's telling me to go back to sleep. And I just observe and think, wow, if I experience this, most people must as well. And I laugh at it now. And then I think about how much better I'm going to feel if I switch that thinking, and then I'll jump out of bed and go to the bathroom, put the kettle on, and then I make my bed every morning. And unless it's changing sheets day, and then I will just leave it until later, particularly in winter, because it's not always conducive to the washing then. And usually some stillness, and just ask my body what it needs. What do you need right now? I will usually ask it. And sometimes it'll say, can we go to the beach? It'll say, let's go for a walk. Obviously, if I've got people to meet, I will just automatically do that. But sometimes it's go and do something energetic, and sometimes it's really still and we're not ready to exercise or leave the house. And so when I say we, me and my body, because sometimes I don't feel like they're the same.
Yep.
But we're trying to get them connected so that there's no rhyme or reason. Any questions around that? That seemed like
that's
not used to
that's beautiful. Yeah, because you're the one always asking the question. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I love that you observe everything that's going on and just being honest. Thanks for sharing that we don't always feel, that positivity, like it's a process, isn't it, to get to that, and then to be able to get to jumping out of bed. So what about though when your kids were younger, because obviously they're a lot older now? Was it the same back then?
Well, now I actually don't have kids at home for the first time this year. And then when they're teenagers and they get older, they're sleeping anyway. Yeah. So but when they were little, I didn't know this stuff. And I didn't have anyone else that could help me revolutionize my mornings. And I wish I could turn the clock back And all I do now is help other women not do the same as I did, because I would drag myself out of bed when they come and woke me up. And I would try and be happy and cheerful, but inside I was like, oh, this is so hard. I'm really grumpy. And it was always a rush, and I wasn't prepared. I didn't plan the night before, and we would invariably be late every single day. I would be late if I had to get to work. And, for years I'd say, oh, I'm not doing this again. This is the last time I'm going to be late. And of course, nothing changed. And I'd still be saying the same thing 2 years later. So, and I was very good at hitting the snooze button, and it did not make me feel good, but I didn't know how to change.
Yeah. So what was the secret that helped you change?
I love the quote, when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of changing, change will happen. So the pain of staying the same just got too great. And then when I realized that I wanted to help women and people that identify as women change their lives and transform their lives, it had to start with me. Yeah. So I had to try and find a solution. And I think listening to Brené Brown say the most dangerous place she can be is between waking and getting out of bed. Because of that negative thought pattern that kicks in, I just started to notice, and I started to see what would happen if I got up at the same time every day and really focused on what my thinking was doing and what if I could shift that. And it was a conscious change, and that really helped. Plus meeting people a couple of times a week and noticing the difference that made, and the accountability then to be able to do it on other days as well when I'm by myself.
Oh, definitely the accountability, because I walk 2 mornings a week with people, and then the other 3 is the gym, but the gym is a class. So, and it's the same people there every day. So yeah, I feel that accountability to get out in the morning. But then the same thing is, if I don't, when I have said, oh, I'm just too tired, I actually haven't had a very good day because I've stayed in bed. And it's like that small thing just makes such a difference that now I just stick with the routine. I know it's going to work, and it's going to help me for the rest of the day. So yeah, it's interesting to hear people's different motivation. And I've loved listening to your podcast to hear the different people and how they've changed, if they wanted to change and become more of a morning person.
That's right. And I think you nailed it there, Narelle, when you say they wanted to change, when you get to that point where you're just so sick of yourself and you don't know what to do, but then you might randomly be listening to this podcast and thinking, oh, that's me, and I am sick of myself and I don't want to be doing this anymore. Don't think that it's easy to do on your own, because it's not. It's really important to ask for help when you've been trying, if it's decades, to change and you can't change.
And I listening to people talk about the different, your chronotypes. So I am definitely, the morning person, the lark. Can be an owl, but I'm more of a lark. So I'm easily, get up in the morning. Whereas for other people, they're the owl, and it's so much harder for them to change and actually just go with the flow, which should be later in the day that they'd be naturally waking up.
And that's okay too. Like, you have to know who you are. And I would be naturally a night person, but I prefer the morning. So I want to get up early because it makes me, like you say, have a better day. If I don't do that, I can be grumpy as.
So what are your tips, if you've got 3 tips or top tips to share with people about how they could start to maybe bounce out of bed?
I would say the first tip is, what do you want it to look like within your current lifestyle and what's possible for you? And when you are looking at how you want it to look, if you've got kids, then obviously you have to take that into account. But what do you want it to look like? And how different is that? And what's one thing you could do to shift that? Whether it's, I don't think going to bed earlier is a great tip, because we're all pretty rubbish at that. But aiming to get up at a certain time, say at 7:30 in the morning or 7 in the morning, you want to get up and you haven't been doing that. Try it for 5 days. Be accountable to somebody. My clients message me, take a photo of their bed made and send me a photo for 5 days. Just 5 days. Just see if you can do it for 5 days would be one tip. And 2 would just be to notice your thoughts when you wake up. That's it. And the other thing would be some grateful practice in the morning. So when you wake up, notice your thoughts and then think of 3 things you're glad about, you're grateful for.
I love that, especially the accountability, like to have, whether it's you or just a friend that you're sending a photo to just keep that motivation. I know for clients that I work with, they will send me photos of when they've organized something on their own. And it's just like, yay, like just someone to cheerlead you on, isn't it?
That's right. Absolutely. And we all need more of that sense of belonging in that village, community, tribe, whatever you call it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Oh, you must be doing some amazing work with people out there, sharing and helping them to, well, it doesn't even matter whether it's, 6, 7, whatever the time it is, but they're actually excited to get out of bed. So how can people find you and share your podcast as well?
So my podcast is called Bounce Out of Bed, and it is some solo episodes and guests as well. And you can find that anywhere you listen to podcasts. And I am Amanda Ewin on socials, and that's EWIN. And amandaewin.com is my website. If you wanted to connect with me further, or DMs in socials as well, I respond to everything.
Yes, and you do have a lovely active social stories and stuff like that. I love watching your stories and seeing you on the beautiful beaches in WA. So thank you so much, Amanda, for your time tonight.
Absolute pleasure, Narelle. Always a delight. Thank
Thanks.
you.